Ethan Miller did not believe in luck anymore. The thought crossed his mind as he stood on the sidewalk, staring at the brick building in front of him. The community library looked quiet, almost forgotten. A paper sign was taped crookedly to the glass door, moving slightly in the cold air. Volunteers needed. He read it twice. 2 months ago, Ethan had a steady job, a routine, and plans. Then the company downsized. 1 meeting. 1 handshake. 1 box of personal items. After that, his days became empty hours filled with worry. He sent out applications, waited for replies, and listened to silence. He told himself he didn't need help. Yet here he was. His hand hovered over the door handle. Walking in meant admitting something was wrong. Walking away meant going back to his small apartment and another long evening alone. Ethan exhaled and pushed the door open. Warm air and the smell of old books greeted him. The place was brighter than he expected. Sunlight poured through tall windows, falling across wooden tables and shelves filled with history books. At the center of the room stood a woman organizing folders. She looked up. Claire Thompson had kind eyes and a calm face. Her brown hair was tied back loosely, and she wore a simple sweater. There was nothing dramatic about her, yet the room seemed to soften when she smiled. "Hi," she said. "Can I help you?" The words hit Ethan harder than he expected. I saw the sign," he replied. His voice sounded unsure even to himself. "About volunteering." Claire nodded. "We're working on a local history project. It's pretty relaxed." Ethan shifted his weight. "I don't have experience with this kind of thing." "That's okay," she said easily. "Most people don't." There was no pressure in her tone. No impatience. Just openness. "I can help, however," Ethan added. "If you need someone." Claire studied him for a brief moment, not in a judging way, but like she was listening before he even spoke. She noticed the careful way he stood, like someone trying not to take up space. "We can start small," she said. "Sorting, labeling, simple stuff. I'll show you." Something loosened inside him. "Yeah," he said. "That would be good." She handed him a box of old documents. Their fingers brushed for a second. It was nothing, yet Ethan felt strangely aware of it. They worked quietly at first. Claire explained what went where. Ethan listened closely, focused on doing things right. He hadn't realized how much he missed being useful until that moment. "You're doing fine," Claire said after a while. He looked up. "I am?" She smiled. "You're careful. That helps." Ethan felt his shoulders relax. Compliments were rare lately. Most days, he felt invisible. As time passed, the silence between them became comfortable. They exchanged small comments about the project, about the weather, about how old some of the photos were. "This one's from the 70s, Claire said, holding up a picture. "Hard to believe." Ethan leaned closer. "Everyone looks so hopeful." She glanced at him. "Yeah. They probably didn't know what was coming next." The words lingered. Later, Claire poured coffee from a small pot in the corner. She offered him a cup. "Thanks," he said. "I didn't realize how long it's been." "Time moves differently here," she replied. He smiled at that. As the afternoon went on, Ethan felt something unfamiliar: peace. No interviews. No rejection emails. Just a task and someone patient beside him. At one point, he placed a folder in the wrong stack. "Oh, sorry," he said quickly, reaching to fix it. Claire laughed softly. "It's okay. We've all done that." She helped him correct it without making a big deal. That mattered more than she knew. When the sun began to lower, Claire checked the clock. "That's all for today," she said. "Thank you for coming in." Ethan hesitated. He didn't want it to end. "Will you be here again?" he asked, then quickly added, I mean, for the project. I'm here most days, she replied. If you want to come back. I do, he said without thinking. Claire noticed the quickness of his answer. Then I'll see you. As Ethan walked toward the door, he stopped. Claire, he said. Yes? Thank you, he said. For letting me help. She tilted her head slightly. Sometimes helping someone starts by accepting them. Ethan nodded, not fully understanding why her words stayed with him. Outside, the air felt colder, but his chest felt warmer. The city sounded different, less heavy. He didn't know Claire well. He didn't know why her presence mattered so much already. But for the first time in weeks, he didn't feel like he was standing still. He had stepped inside. He had accepted help. And without realizing it, he had taken the first step towards something that would change far more than his routine. Ethan began coming to the library every afternoon. At first, he told himself it was just for the project. It gave him structure. It filled the quiet hours. But soon, he realized he was timing his days around one person. Claire. She was always there before him, sleeves rolled up, hair loosely tied, already moving between shelves. She greeted him the same way every time, with a soft smile and a simple, "Hey, you're back." Those words mattered more than she knew. They worked faster now. Ethan learned the system, remembered where things went, and even corrected small mistakes on his own. Claire noticed. She didn't praise him loudly, but she trusted him with more tasks. That trust felt earned, and it changed the way he carried himself. Between boxes and folders, conversations began to grow. So what did you want to be when you were younger? Claire asked one afternoon as they sorted photographs. Ethan paused. I thought I'd leave Oregon, he said. See more. Do something big. What stopped you? He shrugged. Life. Claire smiled slightly. I get that. She told him about growing up in Vancouver, about moving south after college because she needed distance from expectations she didn't choose. She spoke calmly, but Ethan heard the weight behind her words. They learned each other in pieces. Not all at once. Enough to stay curious. Sometimes they laughed over small things, misprinted labels, strange old photos, coffee that tasted burnt. Other times, they worked in silence that felt full instead of awkward. Ethan began to notice details. How Claire focused when she read, lips pressing together. How she tucked her hair behind her ear when she concentrated. How she always cleaned her workspace before leaving, even when tired. Claire noticed things too. She saw how Ethan listened without interrupting. How he considered his words before speaking. How his posture changed as the weeks passed, standing straighter, breathing easier. Yet there was a line neither crossed. At closing time, they walked to the door together but left separately. No numbers exchanged. No late-night messages. Just shared days. Still, something waited between them. One evening, rain poured down hard, turning the windows into moving patterns of light and shadow. Thunder rolled in the distance. Claire locked the front door and turned toward Ethan. You might want to wait a bit. It's bad out there. That's okay, he said, though he glanced at the rain. They sat at a table near the window. The library felt smaller, quieter. The storm wrapped the building in sound. Claire folded her hands. You've changed since you started coming here. Ethan looked surprised. In a good way? Yes, she said. You seem more present. He thought about that. This place helps, he admitted. You help. The words hung in the air. Claire felt her heart beat faster. She had felt the pull for weeks but had kept it carefully locked away. She had learned the cost of letting someone depend on her too much. I like having you here, she said instead. Ethan smiled, then looked away. I like being here. For a moment, neither spoke. The rain filled the space. Ethan's thoughts raced. He wanted to say more. He wanted to ask if she felt it too, the quiet connection, the growing warmth. But fear stopped him. He didn't want to risk the one place that felt safe. He stood. I should go before it gets worse. Claire nodded, though part of her wished he would stay. At the door, Ethan turned back. Claire, can I ask you something? Her breath caught. Okay. He opened his mouth, then closed it. The question felt too heavy, too soon. Never mind, he said softly. Another time. She forced a smile. Anytime. Ethan stepped into the rain. Claire watched through the glass as he disappeared into the gray street. When the library was empty, she turned off the lights slowly. Her reflection in the window looked thoughtful, uncertain. At home, Ethan sat on the edge of his bed, rain still clinging to his jacket. He replayed the moment again and again. The almost question. The missed chance. Across town, Claire lay awake staring at the ceiling. She told herself it was better this way. Clear lines. No confusion. But her heart disagreed. The days that followed felt different. Not colder, but charged. Every glance lasted a second longer. Every goodbye felt unfinished. They both sensed the shift. Something was moving between them, quiet but strong. And neither of them knew how long they could pretend it wasn't their. Ethan's life was starting to move again. After weeks of volunteering, he got a short-term job offer at a local design firm. It wasn't his dream, but it was a step. When he told Claire, her eyes lit up with genuine happiness. She said, "That's great news, Ethan. I'm proud of you." But beneath the excitement, Ethan felt a quiet tension he couldn't shake. The job would keep him busy, yes, but only for a few months. After that, what then? Back to the empty days. Back to the uncertainty. He knew he needed more than just employment. He needed guidance, a plan, a way forward. One afternoon, as they sorted through a pile of old photographs from a local archive, Ethan couldn't stop thinking about it. Claire worked calmly beside him, her fingers delicately lifting each photo, arranging them in neat stacks. He watched the way she moved, the focus in her eyes, the soft hum she made when she concentrated. Every detail reminded him how much her presence had anchored him over the past weeks. He swallowed hard. Finally, he spoke. "Claire, can I be honest?" She glanced at him, eyebrows slightly raised. "Of course." "I'm scared," he said quickly. "Not of the job. Not even of what's coming. I'm scared of going back to how things were. Feeling lost. Alone." Her fingers paused mid-task. She looked at him, reading every line of tension in his face, every flicker of emotion in his eyes. She knew that feeling all too well, the ache of uncertainty, the fear that life would slip away while you stood still. "You've been doing more than just work here, Ethan," she said softly. "You've grown. But you're right. Life outside this room is messy. You can't always control it." He nodded. "I know. But I want to. I want to move forward. I want to build something that lasts. And I don't know if I can do it alone." Claire's heart tightened. She had seen that spark in him, the determination that burned beneath the uncertainty. She had helped him regain confidence, piece by piece. And now, for the first time, he wasn't just asking for help with the library or the project. He was asking for guidance in life. "You want me to help you figure out what comes next?" she asked carefully. "Yes," he admitted, almost in a whisper. "You helped me find my feet before. I don't know if I can do this without you." The words hung between them, heavy and vulnerable. Claire felt a surge of emotions, pride, fear, and something warmer she couldn't name. She knew the danger of becoming someone's anchor instead of a partner. And yet, she couldn't ignore the truth, she wanted to help him, in whatever way she could. "That's a big ask," she said softly. "I can't promise to have all the answers." Ethan's shoulders relaxed slightly, though his eyes searched hers for a hint of hope. I don't expect everything. I need someone to walk with me. To guide me when I can't see clearly. Claire studied him. The way he bit his lower lip, the tension in his hands. He was offering himself completely, not just his fears, but his trust. And that trust was powerful. Ethan, she said carefully, I can't carry you. But I can walk with you. I can help you think, make decisions, and support you. You have to take the steps yourself. He nodded slowly, relief washing over him. That's enough. That's exactly what I need. For the rest of the afternoon, they worked in silence, but it was a comfortable silence. It wasn't just about sorting photos anymore. It was about understanding, about connection. Both of them sensed the shift, their bond was no longer simple. It had layers, complexity, and a quiet intensity that neither had expected. After the library closed, they lingered near the door. Ethan turned to her, hesitating. Claire, thank you. For believing in me. For helping me when I didn't even know I needed it. She smiled, soft and warm. Sometimes helping someone isn't about doing more. It's about being there when they need someone beside them. Ethan's chest tightened. He wanted to reach out, to say more, but the words wouldn't come. Instead, he nodded and stepped into the evening air. The city felt different now, not intimidating, not empty. It felt like the start of something. Claire watched him leave, rain starting to fall lightly, droplets catching the streetlights. She felt a strange mix of longing and anticipation. She had spent weeks teaching him, guiding him, giving him pieces of herself in subtle ways. And now, he wanted more, not help with work, not advice, but someone to share life's uncertainty with. She realized then that the hardest part was not teaching him, not guiding him, it was learning how to let him in without losing herself. That night, Ethan walked home slowly, thinking of the quiet library, of the smell of old books, of Claire's steady presence. He felt hope, something he hadn't felt in months. But he also felt fear. Fear that he would stumble, fear that he might lean too much, fear that he might not be enough. Yet he knew one thing, he could not go back to being alone. Not anymore. Meanwhile, Claire lay awake in her apartment, thinking of him too. She wondered how far this connection could go, how much she should let herself care. She had helped others before, guided people, given advice, but this was different. This wasn't just help anymore. It was personal, intimate, and quietly intense. She told herself to stay cautious, to protect herself. And yet, she couldn't stop imagining walking beside him, through life, through choices, through uncertainty. Days turned into weeks. Ethan started the job, and the library became a place of planning, of conversations, of dreams. Their time together shifted subtly. There were still quiet moments, shared glances, and small touches, a hand brushing against a folder, a smile over a coffee cup, but now there was also something heavier, deeper. Something unspoken but undeniable. Ethan knew he was asking more than help. He was asking for a partnership of sorts, a shared journey, a trust he had rarely given. Claire knew it too. And though she feared it, though she knew the risk of heartache, she also felt a thrill. Because sometimes, helping someone means walking with them into the unknown. And sometimes, that unknown brings more than guidance, it brings connection, intimacy, and the possibility of something neither expected. As the sun set over Portland, the streets glistening from the rain, both Ethan and Claire felt it, the sense that life was moving, that change was coming, and that whatever lay ahead, they would face it together. And that feeling, fragile and exhilarating, was worth every fear, every hesitation, every step. It wasn't just help anymore. It was the start of something far bigger. Something neither of them could yet name, but something they both already felt. The months after Ethan started his job moved quickly. The short-term position turned into a few more weeks, and then more. Each day brought small victories, tiny adjustments, moments where he felt capable again. But through it all, the library remained a constant, a place where he could breathe, think, and see Claire's calm, steady presence. Their relationship had changed without fanfare. They weren't friends in the casual sense anymore. They weren't lovers either. They were something in between, a connection built on trust, patience, and unspoken understanding. Every day together, every conversation, every shared laugh, tightened that bond. Ethan learned to lean on her guidance without losing his independence. Claire learned to let him stumble, to let him make decisions while she offered support when needed. It wasn't perfect. There were disagreements, moments of tension when he worried he was asking too much, moments when she feared she was giving too much. But they learned to navigate it. One chilly evening, after the library had emptied, they walked to a small riverside cafe nearby. The streets were slick from rain, the reflections of city lights shimmering on the pavement. Ethan held the door open, gesturing her inside. The place was quiet, a warm glow from the lamps, soft music playing from hidden speakers. They found a table by the window. Outside, the river moved steadily, indifferent to the small storms of life. Inside, they were safe, cocooned from the rest of the world. "I've been thinking about what I asked you months ago," Ethan said, his fingers wrapped around a cup of tea. His eyes met hers, serious and unflinching. Claire waited, her heart beating faster than she wanted to admit. She had wondered the same thing herself, the moment when all the subtle gestures, all the guidance, would evolve into something more. "I realized," he continued, "I don't want help anymore." "Not in that way." She blinked. "Not. I mean," he said, taking a slow breath, "I don't need someone to hold my hand through life. I need you. Not to fix me, not to guide me, not to save me. Just to walk with me. To be beside me." Claire felt a warmth spread through her chest, a mixture of relief, joy, and something deeper. She had worried he would see her as a helper first, as someone there to support a struggling man. Instead, he wanted her, not for what she could give, but for who she was. I was afraid," she said softly. "Afraid that you needed me more than you wanted me." Ethan shook his head. "I needed your help once. That was true. But now, I choose you. I want you here because I want you, not because I can't do things without you." Her eyes glistened, though she tried to blink the tears away. She reached across the table, her fingers brushing his. It was a small touch, but it carried all the weight of weeks, months, and unspoken words. Outside, the river continued its steady flow, a quiet reminder that life moves forward, with or without certainty. Inside, the world had narrowed to that one touch, that one shared moment. They talked then, honestly, about what they wanted, not plans for work, not goals for the project, but life itself. About fears, about hopes, about what they might become together. Each word was careful, measured, and yet freeing. They had built something slowly, and now they could speak it aloud without fear. Ethan reached across again, holding her hand this time. "I don't want to go back to feeling lost," he said. "But I also don't want to walk forward alone." Claire squeezed his hand, her heart steady. "Then we don't have to. You won't be alone anymore." They stayed at the cafe long after the rain stopped. They watched the reflections of streetlights dance on the wet pavement. They spoke of small dreams and shared laughter, and in every glance, every gentle touch, they felt the connection that had been growing quietly for months. It wasn't sudden. It wasn't dramatic. There were no fireworks, no declarations of love shouted in the streets. It was slower, gentler, and all the more powerful for it. They had grown through trust, patience, and mutual care. Now, they could move forward together, not as helper and helped, but as equals, as partners, as something new and deeply human. When they finally left, stepping into the night air, Ethan felt lighter than he had in years. Claire felt the same. They walked side by side, not needing words to fill the spaces between them. The city seemed smaller, more intimate, as if it recognized the shift in their hearts. Sometimes, help is the first step toward connection. Sometimes, asking for more is the spark that leads to something far greater. And sometimes, the right person waits patiently, allowing trust and care to grow until it becomes love in its most quiet, resilient form. As they reached the street corner, they paused, hands still intertwined. Neither needed to say it. They both knew, whatever came next, they would face it together, hand in hand, hearts open, ready for the journey ahead. The river flowed on. The city moved around them. And for the first time in a long time, both Ethan and Claire felt certain of one thing: they had found someone to walk with, not because they needed saving, but because they chose each other. And that choice, they realized, was everything.